Serendipity has happened upon the channel in a way for which you are likely to hate me. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we're here for another poetry discussion, which will take place in three different playlists here on the channel. Number one being the poetry discussion list, cruising towards 600 videos strong. Number two, the Robert Frost playlist, a playlist dedicated to the poetry of Robert Frost. And number three, the Reading in a Winter Wonderland playlist here on the channel. An entire month, 31 videos celebrating winter literature, plus Frankenstein, which is not, strictly speaking, literature of the winter, but there's winter involved, and there is death involved. The poem in question today is Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost, and it reads as such. Whose woods are these? I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and a frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only sound's the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but promises I have to keep, and miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep. This is a line of poetry which has haunted me indefinitely. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep. Does this not sound like the lure of death? And so I had prepared for this poetry discussion to be about fatalism. And I prompted ChatGPT, for which you will hate me, I know, but I will take your slings and arrows in the sake of literature. ChatGPT, when prompted what is fatalism, gave me this definition. Fatalism is the philosophical belief that events are predetermined and inevitable, rendering human effort or intervention powerless to alter outcomes. Rooted in an ancient philosophy and echoed in various religious and cultural traditions, fatalism asserts that the course of events is fixed, often by divine will, fate, or natural laws. This worldview contrasts with the ideas of free will and agency, suggesting instead that humans are bound to follow a path preordained by external forces. Fatalism can inspire both resignation and resilience. On one hand, it may lead to passivity or despair as individuals perceive their actions as futile. On the other hand, it can foster acceptance and tranquility, as it removes the burden of responsibility for altering the future. In literature and art, fatalism often appears as themes when characters grapple with inevitable outcomes such as death or destiny. I think you will find that through the lines of Robert Frost, we are channeling fatalism quite often. Philosophically, fatalism is distinct from determinism. While determinism involves the ideas that events are causally determined by preceding conditions and natural laws, fatalism does not rely on causation, but rather on the certainty of outcomes, regardless of circumstance. The tension between fatalism and free will has often been central in the debate in philosophy, religion, and existential thought. This line, if I can get back up here, is one that, to me, channels fatalism without channeling determinism, because the speaker, is acknowledging that death is perhaps imminent, that death is without question, that death is coming. However, as opposed to determinism, our speaker decides that he must go on. He or she must go on. Now, I prompted ChatGPT for a line of philosophical or literary criticism which might be imminent in this poem. ChatGPT now has the power of memory. So ChatGPT, in accordance, I believe, with this prompt on fatalism, suggested something I'd never heard of, and that is accelerationism. I've never heard of this. This is something with which I am not familiar. Accelerationism suggests that pushing systems or processes to their extreme speeds up inevitable collapse or transformation. While originally applied to capitalism, you've heard the term late-stage capitalism thrown around, I would say haphazardly, in today's world. And I think that is in accordance with accelerationism. Now, while originally applied to capitalism or socialism structures, it can be explored metaphorically in literature, particularly in works contemplating the passage of time, inevitability, or existential crises. So I have to know, with this poem, is this... So the marriage of two ideas is something that is something to which I have been attracted since my earliest days as a dedicated reader. My earliest days as a dedicated reader happened to be in middle school, when I was exposed to Michael Crichton. Michael Crichton takes two ideas and mashes them together. In, for example, Jurassic Park, this is the chaos theory and cloning. In, for example, Sphere by Michael Crichton, this is time travel and religion. Here, in this poem, do we have the marriage of fatalism and accelerationism? It would seem to me that perhaps that is a proper framing for this poem. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep. This is fatalism. This is saying, perhaps paired with the second line, the woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep. Saying that, that this death, this stopping, this lure of the eternal, this lure of the ever after, it's there, but it's coming anyway, and I have promises to keep. Perhaps our paths are preordained, but on the way to the end, I have a little bit of say-so here and there. I will keep going, and I have miles to go before I sleep. I have miles to go before I sleep. So the question raises, what is it? The question rises, I suppose I should say, what is it that our speaker is hoping to accelerate? Taking the time to stop and observe the woods as they fill up with snow. Certainly this is an image which is alluring. Certainly this is an image which is beautiful. The woods filling with snow. Pair this with the fact that end is coming, and we may as well stop and observe that beauty. Is our speaker here making the conscious argument, the conscious decision to accelerate, to hasten one's own demise? This idea of stopping in the woods, it is beautiful. It comes at a price. The cold, the snow, is uncomfortable. Is it beautiful? Yes. Is there anything here that suggests that our speaker is looking forward to the promises? Is there anything here suggesting that our speaker is hastening to get through the struggle? No. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. That is all I have for today's poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button, because the literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel. There's poetry every Monday, and I hope to have you back for the next one.